UAV is airborne. Bomb defused. We got the bomb. Oh. One detected. We got the bomb. Enemy has the bomb. Defend the objective. A UAV is online. We got the